皆さん、こんにちは、こんばんは、おはようございます。本日はお忙しい中、国連開発計画 UNDP 駐日代表事務所主催のオンラインキャリアセミナー、JPO 経験者による座談会、UNDP でのキャリア構築、募集中ポストや応募書類についてにご参加くださり、誠にありがとうございます。本日の司会を務めますのは UNDP 駐日代表事務所で副代表をしております江草恵子です。どうぞよろしくお願いいたします。開会に先立ちましていくつか注意事項がございます。まず本イベントはメインセッションとブレイクアウトセッションの2部制に分かれております。後半の3つのブレイクアウトセッションの際はこちらの、Zoom ウェビナーから各セッションそれぞれのリンク先に移動していただくことになります。お手数をおかけしますが、各セッションの詳細やリンクについては後ほど改めてご案内をいたします。そして言語についてですが、前半は日本語、後半 JPO 職員のセッションからは英語となります。通訳は入りませんのでご理解のほどよろしくお願いいたします。また、随時登壇者への質問を受け付けております。質問したい登壇者を明記した上で、今からいつでも Zoom の Q&A 機能を使用して質問をお寄せください。質問は英語でも日本語でも構いません。また、参加登録の際に事前に質問を記入いただいた方について、同じ質問については改めて、チャットに入れていただく、チャットといいますか Q&A のところに入れていただく必要はございませんので、こちらですでに登壇者の方で共有しております。はい、それではキャリアセミナーを開始いたします。まずはじめに、近藤哲夫 UNDP 駐日代表より開会の挨拶をビデオメッセージにてお送りいたします。近藤さん、よろしくお願いします。
皆さんこんばんは。国連開発計画 UNDP の駐日代表を務めております近藤哲夫です。今日はこのキャリアセミナーに参加いただき誠にありがとうございます。まずは未曾有の大災害となっておりますトルコとシリアの国境沿いの発生した大地震の被害に遭われた方々に対して心よりお見舞いとお悔やみを申し上げます。ウクライナでの戦争、そして気候変動やコロナ禍のパンデミックなど、現在私たちは多くの世界的な危機問題に直面しています。 UNDP は国連の主要な開発機関として貧困や格差、また気候変動といった不公正に終止符を打つために約170の国と地域で活動しています。日本人職員もたくさん活躍しています。本部で危機局長を務めております岡井麻子など世界各地で80名以上の日本人職員がさまざまな分野地域でより良い未来を築くために日々邁進しています。この後外務省の国際機関人事センターからご説明もあるかと思いますが、ジュニアプロフェッショナルオフィサー JPO の制度を通してUNDP に入職した4名の現役 JPO、 また JPO を経験してその後正規職員になった若手職員がこのイベントにも参加しています。ぜひ JPO 試験を受けた際の心づもりや現場での経験など参考にしていただいて、皆さんのキャリア作りのベースにしていただければと思っています。また本部人事部のジャンルックより UNDP が求めている人物像、人材像についてもご説明いたします。今回の JPO では6つの UNDP のポジションに関して公募が行われています。参加いただいた方々の中には今回応募して将来国連を目指す方も多いかと思います。本イベントが UNDP にこの応募していただく一つのきっかけになれば幸いです。これからの皆さんのキャリアプランのご参考になることをお祈りしております。ありがとうございます。
はい、ありがとうございました。はい、早速では本編に移ってまいります。まずは外務省国際機関人事センター山口忠彦室長より現在募集中の JPO 派遣制度の概要説明についてお話をいただきたいと思います。では山口室長よろしくお願いいたします。室長ミュートを外していただけましたら幸いです。はい。
江草さん、ご紹介いただきありがとうございます。外務省国際機関人事センター室長の山口です。よろしくお願いいたします。まずはじめに、今晩のこのキャリアセミナー、UNDP の関係者の皆様、誠に大変なご尽力と思いますけれども、私ども高く評価しております。人事センターとしましても、しっかり貢献したいと思います。それではJPO 選考試験につきまして、簡単にパワーポイントを使ってご説明させていただきたいと思います。はい、それでは、皆様、まずはちょっと私どもの国際機関人事センターのご紹介ですけれども、私ども国際機関への就職を目指す日本人の方々、皆様へいろんなサポートを行っております。ご関心のある方は、まずは私ども人事センターのホームページを参照していただき、それから SNS、いろいろ関心のある方、登録していただければと思います。はい、それでは次のページに行きます。国際機関に就職する方法ですけれども、通常は各国際機関、あるいは国連事務局が、随時空席ポストで、募集をかけております。これに対して皆様が随時応募する、そういう形をとっていますが、日本人の皆様にしてみればということで、今日ご説明させていただく、このページで2番目の外務省を通じての JPO 派遣制度。これは年間通してという意味では、現在、募集を受け付けているところです。他には国連自身が募集する若手の皆さん用のヤングプロフェッショナルプログラムがございます。はい、じゃあ次のページで、JPO 派遣制度ですけれども、ジュニアプロフェッショナルオフィサー派遣制度ということで、1961年に国連の決議で設けられました。日本政府は1974年から派遣を開始しています。日本政府が費用を負担して、国際機関に若手の職員を若手の日本人を受け入れ、職員として受け入れてもらう。それで、原則2年間、その国際機関での正規の国際専門職としての勤務経験を積んでもらうという制度になっております。想定されるポストは、エントリーレベルの P2 レベル。修士号をお持ちで職歴2年以上の通常の求められるポストになります。JPO5 というところで重要なんですけれども、JPO に入れば必ずしも100% その後の正規ポストが約束されるというわけでは全くございませんので、JPO の間にしっかり空席ポストにご自身が応募して採用していただく、そういう必要がありますので、念のため、申し添えます。はい、再度ここのところ分かりやすく申しますと、通常、正規職員になるためには空席公募に応募していただく必要があります。他方、このページの下の方のポイントで書かせていただいておりますけれども、なかなかその空席ポストを直接応募してっていうのは、全世界からやっぱり優秀な方が応募してきますから、なかなか狭き門、そういうこともありますので、日本政府としては、国際機関の職員を目指す若手の方々、そういう方々を支援するという意味で、JPO ポスト、そういう意味では空席ポストを応募するための準備期間という形だと思うんですけれども、この JPO の間に国連組織の中での具体的な経験を積んでもらう、ネットワークを構築する人脈ですね、あるいは各組織の内部事情を知る、 さらにはその2年間の仕事を通じて、この人物は力のある人物だ、実績を積み上げていただくと、こういう2年間として活用していただいて、空席ポストをしっかり勝ち取る、そういうメリットとして活用してもらえればと思います。はい、JPO 出身の法人職員として書かせていただきました。現在、約956人の国連国際機関におきまして、日本人のいわゆる専門職の職員の方がいらっしゃいますが、このうちの464名が約5割近くですけれども、JPO 出身の方というふうな統計になっております。はい、それでは次は JPO の受験資格。日本政府のほかにも各国政府、それぞれ JPO 制度やってるんで、国によって若干違うところもあります。日本政府は、応募の年齢制限が35歳と高めに設定しております。チャンスを広げるということで、他の国ですと大体30歳とか32歳、そういう国が多いです。で、経歴、学歴の部分ですけれども、先ほど申しましたが、国連、国際機関のエントリーレベル、P2 レベルで求められる、学歴、職歴が通常、修士号プラス、その分野の2年の職歴となっておりますので、私どもの JPO 受験資格も、同じようにさせていただいております。さらには英語、十分な職務遂行可能なレベルがあるかというのが非常にポイントです。皆様が JPO として、派遣されて、実際に各ポストで仕事に就いた際、そこでは初日から英語でしっかり業務をすることが求められております。特に各地からというのは非常に重要ですね。はい、それで4番目の条件ですけれども、日本国籍をお持ちの方、私どもが支援するのは、残念ですけれども、日本国籍をお持ちの方という限定があります。日本政府が日本の予算を使って、援助するということで、現状は日本政府、日本国籍のお持ちの方ということで、支援させていただきます。で、最後、5番目ですけど、これが重要なのは、私ども日本政府、外務省は、この JPO の選考試験をやって、何ですかね、派遣者を選んで送り出せば、それでよしという、そこで終わりというふうには決して思っておりません。私どもの目的は、日本政府、すみません、国際機関や国連事務局において、しっかり国際貢献をやっていきたいと、キャリアアップしていきたいと、尽力していきたいと、そういうふうにしっかり強い志を持っている日本の若い方々に、その最初のステップを提供して、その方々が将来的にしっかり国際機関でキャリアアップしていくと、そういうことをしっかりサポートしたいと思っています。そういう意味では、将来にわたって国際機関で勤務をする意思をお持ちかというのは重要になっております。すいません。それでは次、JPO の選考プロセスです。私どもは年間プロセスで、募集をし、それから審査をし、それで、国際機関に推薦し、国際機関の方で最終的に承認されれば、国際機関と各 JPO の皆さんで、実際の赴任に向けて、調整してもらうと、そういうふうな段取りですけれども、現在、ちょうど募集をかけております。3月8日が締め切り。大体4月にかけて書類審査を私どもで行います。書類審査の中で、UNDP はじめ、7つの機関につきましては、国際機関枠ということで、一次審査を通った後、こちらの7つの機関を希望される方については、私どもはそれを第二審査をそれぞれの機関の方に推薦して、それぞれの機関の方で実施していただくと、そういうことになっております。そんなんで、UNDP を希望される方は、6月、7月頃に UNDP の方で二次審査が行われ、オンラインでの面接だと思いますけれども、その結果がそれぞれの皆様にご通知されると、そういう段取りになります。はい、それです。次、私どもの現在ですけれども、 私どもの国際機関人事センターのホームページ、こちらの方で募集要項を公開しております。なおかつ、今年度から、応募自体をオンラインを通じて、つまり私どものホームページの中に、具体的な URL が示してあるんですけれども、ここをクリックしていただくと、募集ホームの方に行きます。応募ホームの方に行きますので、そこから必要書類を添付して、応募していただくと、そういうことになります。その上で応募していただくにあたっては、具体的な国際機関、それからその機関のポストというのをしっかり希望を示していただくのが必要になるんですけれども、ホームページをクリックしていただきますと、各機関のポスト一覧というのがございます。UNDP をご希望の方は、ちょっとこのページの方で赤い矢印で示してますけれども、国際機関枠のところに UNDP ってございますので、ここをクリックしていただくと。そうすると、UNDP、今年度は6ポストが示されていますので、こちらの詳細をよくご覧になっていただいて、と思います。その上で、オンライン上で応募していただくんですけれども、まずはオンライン上で、和文の応募フォーム、こちらの方には希望国際機関、ポスト、UNDP6 つのうちのどのポストかというのを明記していただく。そして明記していただいた後、実際にでは具体的な応募書類をどのポストに書くか、どの機関に書くかというのも、その後、書いていただく必要があります。その書いていただいた機関、ポストを念頭に、カバーレター、英文カバーレター、A4、書式自由ですけれども、約1枚。それから英文で、略歴ですね、レジュメ、CV を書いていただく。さらには、具体的な国連 UNDP で使われている応募用紙、こちらを使って書いていただく。UNDP の場合はパーソナルヒストリーフォーム、こちらホームページ上でワードファイルを私どもクリックすると開けるようになっておりますので、こちらを使ってください。さらに、TOEFL、IELTS のスコアの写し、日本国旅券の顔写真ページ、こちらをオンラインを通じて提出していただくというふうになっております。こちらが和文の応募フォームですね。それからカバーレターのレジュメ。ここで重要なのは、皆さんの経歴を羅列するんではなくて、学歴こうです、職歴ここで仕事しましたではなくて、その中で皆さんが経験した、学んだ、身につけた能力、資質がいかに皆さんが応募する具体的なポストに最適なのか、役立つのか、このポストに一番ベストなのは私なんだよ、私なんですよ、自分なんですよというのを具体的にカバーレター、レジュメの中で書いていただくと。皆さんのセールスポイントを具体的に書いて、読む人が分かるように書いていただくというのが非常に重要になります。すみません、ちょっと時間がないんで、はしょります。再度は今申したことを繰り返しますけれども、JPO の派遣候補者になるには、書類選考、面接選考をクリアする必要がある。将来にわたって、しっかり国際機関で勤めていく使命、意思があるか、能力があるか、さらには専門性、語学力、もう英語でしっかりすべて仕事できる能力っていうのは、これ、最低限必要です。さらに具体的な専門分野をしっかり遂行するため、その専門性を証明するための学歴、職歴が必要です。これをしっかりしていただきたいと思います。はい。その他より詳しいことは私どものホームページを見ていただきたいと思います。すみません、長くなりましたが、私の方の説明、これで終了させていただきます。どうもありがとうございました。
はい。山口室長、大変ありがとうございました。Thank you so much, Director Yamaguchi. It was very valuable and lots of hints to apply for this JPO post. Sorry to continue and switch to in English. I forgot to mention that for the first session that we can deliver this seminar first of all in Japanese and switch to English for the JPO session. So now let's move on to the JPO session. Okay, so I would like to invite 4 UNDP staff members, former JPOs, and current JPOs. But before moving this JPO session, I would like to ask your audience to hear your interest, which post you'll be interested in if you will apply for the JPO in UNDP. So you can see the student questions, and these are the 6 posts. Now this year UNDP is advertising. Just to quickly mention the 6 posts. One is South Africa, development finance. 2, Bangkok, youth engagement, youth empowerment. 3, Sudan, governance and genders and peace buildings, etc. 4, India, SDG promotions. 5, headquarter as New York finance. And 6, also headquarter, but Geneva, post in Geneva for the disaster risk management. So these are the 6 posts of this year's UNDP is offering. So please have a look and just click one post. Thank you for 15 seconds. So I think this year's lineup is very much worldwide and interesting. Thank you so much. Here is the answer. So I think the most attractive one is private sector development and program analyst post. Okay. And youth empowerment Bangkok also. Very much. Thank you very much. And so you can hear the voices and the live session from JPOs, UNDP JPO. First, I'd like to invite Mr. Daiki Maruno-san, who works as a program analyst on climate change and the environment in the Program of Assistance to the Palestinian People, PAP. He's currently working as JPO first year. Okay, じゃあ、丸野さん、よろしくお願いします。
Thank you so much for inviting me, Egusa-san. So I hope you can hear me well. So, okay, good. So let me share the screen first. Okay, I hope you can see the screen as well. Yes. So thank you for joining us today. So my name is Hiroki Maruno. I'm working for the UNDP Program of Assistance to the Palestinian People. We call it PAP. So I'm working for the climate change and environment here, and since last October. So it may not be relevant to the session, but I'd like to explain what is PAP is. So UNDP PAP is not a country office; it's a program, and which was established in 1978 by United Nations General Assembly. So we had a particular mandate here, that is to improve the economic and social condition of the Palestinian people. And what I'm doing here is to design and develop a climate resilience program in Palestine, particularly focusing on the climate smart agriculture and renewable energy. Oops. Well, yeah. So this is my career summary. So I graduated in the university in Japan, which was the 2011, and I started from my career at the commercial bank. And then I joined JICA volunteer in Costa for 2.5 years, and I started studying master's degree in UK, which was 2017 to 2018. And then I did the internship at UNIDO Tokyo. And then I moved to the Embassy of Japan in Trinidad and Tobago as a researcher. And then I moved to the UNDP Malawi as a UN volunteer. And then I got the JPO since last October. So I'd like to highlight here is that I took the JPO exam 4 times, and obviously 3 times were failed, unsuccessful. But I'd like to express the importance of a continuing challenge to the JPO exam here. Oops. Yes. So this is the JPO timeline. This is in my case last year. So in March, I submit the JPO application and I got the screening pass in the end of April. And then 1 month later, I had an interview with UNDP PAP and UNDP JPO Center. And then roughly 1 month, I got the interview pass. And next week, I had a final check with MOFA's JPO Center. And then I started working UNDP PAP since last October. So here I'd like to give you some tips of CV writing and also interviews. So these greens one are CV, relevant to the CV, which was already highlighted from the Yamaguchi-san. And first of all, the job in the CV, we need to write what we did in the workplace. But it's not just the job description. It should be using specific figures, explaining the context and your role, and writing how much and how you are committed to the result, how you made the differences in the position. So you make CV point by point, I think, but each point should include this information. And do understand the actual duties the position entails, read, analyze the job description and how much you would fit into the position, using similar verbs and terms and the original terms of reference. And in the interview, if you apply for the country office, study the country's context and politically and economic context. And then have a clear picture of possible assistance in your field. You should imagine how can I contribute to the country. And I had at least 5 technical and country-specific questions in the interview. And I had also 3 or 4 competency-based interview questions. And number 4, the examples you give in the competency-based interview question, they should be in the same area that the position, the expertise. For example, I took the interview in climate change, so the example should be relevant to climate change. And the 5, this is most important, and stay calm and answer the question very slowly and accurately. If you don't understand the meaning of the question, it is completely fine. Ask them to repeat the question or rephrase the questions. So this is my presentation.
Thank you, Daiki-san. So I just have a quick questions on your presentation, and also the questions from the received this session from the audience. So why did you choose this work at JPO instead of your various experience working in a JICA and NGOs and volunteer work, and instead of working for these global companies, but why did you choose JPO and working for UNDP?
Thank you for the question. So climate change is a global issue. So it is difficult to resolve the issue by one country, of course. So, and especially in Japan, Japan is a big country. It is difficult to make differences, but the UN, especially in the developing countries, can make differences in the country. And also in the climate change area, in the upstream development is obviously intergovernmental negotiations, which is led by the UN organization. So I chose UN and working for the climate change. So that's the reason why I chose the UN organization.
ありがとうございます。Thank you so much. Nice presentation. Next, Miss Akiko Hasegawa-san. So she's a resource management specialist in UNDP Afghanistan and a former JPO at the Office of Financial Resource Management in the headquarters, New York. So, Akiko-san, please, よろしくお願いします。
Hi, thank you so much, Egusa-san, for the introduction. So I would like to share my presentation as well. So let's me. So it is, everyone, I hope you hear me well and then you see my screen now. So today so first of all, thank you so much for the opportunity and thank you so much for your interest to UNDP. So I would like to, as a former JPO, I would like to quickly introduce what I'm doing now in Afghanistan and also how I end up arriving or opening the door to the UNDP. So I forgot to introduce myself, but this is Akiko. I'm the resource management specialist in UNDP Afghanistan country office. And I'm currently serving as a head of resource management unit. So maybe you may wonder what's resource management. So it's like almost finance unit. And just to give you the background, UNDP Afghanistan office is one of the largest country office in UNDP. So we have more than 25 projects in our country office portfolio. And then financial figures wise, we are delivering more than $200 million annually. So our team, I'm the head of the team, and then there are 12 staff or African nationals. So together with the team, my responsibility is to make sure that office as well as each project is financially sustainable and also in compliance with UNDP rules and regulations. So I try to map, because maybe it's a cross-cutting area, not instead of dedicating to the one specific thematic area like health, climate change, rule of laws, but my job is to work with colleagues in the cross-cutting areas. So starting from resource mobilizations or preparing a budget document to send into the proposal to the donors, preparing donor report, or making sure that the cash is available so that we can make a necessary disbursement. Of course, if required, I will prepare any financial analysis for senior management or in headquarters, or we have a regional hub in Bangkok, those decision making. So whatever related to dollar value, it's actually around my portfolio. So I will stop then I'll go to the next slide. So yes, I started to join in UNDP since 2018, but I wanted to also share my experience, how I end up arriving UNDP. It's not a straightforward story. So, and also, I hope this is helpful as one of the kind of example. So I obtained a master's degree in 2009, which is business commerce major in accounting. Then I started work for IBM Japan as a management consultant. Then I really worked hard and I really enjoyed working in this work. But after 3 or 4 years, I came to wonder, should I continue this work? Then I had a lot of chat with my friends or senior colleagues, or I sought some advice from many people. And then also I remember, I had some reflection, and I remember that back in 2007 and 2008, when I was in university, you may think how old I am, but when I was in university, I had the opportunity to engage with non-profit sector as a volunteer, and also I had the opportunity to visit Vietnam as also a volunteer to serve NGO, those which are providing the education services for those who couldn't go to the school due to the economic reasons. Then it was an eye-opening experience to me. Then I didn't know what's happening outside of Japan until then, but it was my first experiences walking and then seeing what's happening so-called in developing countries. Then at that time, I committed that probably maybe my first career would be to serve for the private sectors. But after obtaining certain experiences in the private sector, I'm sure I will come back to this industry, which is international development, because I wanted to become a person who can contribute to the society to make the world better through various means, whatever I can contribute way. So then I decided to apply for, I learned that, oh, okay, so in order to apply UN, I need a master's degree. And then I decided to apply apply master's degree. Then I came to the US. Then ideally, by obtaining the master's degree, my plan was to change the career from private sector to the UN, or private sector to something international development. But then during this 2-year in master's degree, I learned that, just wish or my desire or my passion was not enough. So in order to have the position there, yes, hiring manager will ask, oh, what is your expertise? So, okay, so then I came to think that, oh, not only just a passion, but I need to strengthen my expertise. And then I decided to make my expertise in the finance area, because I had a bachelor's in accounting. I had certain experiences in more or less finance or corporate planning, budgeting areas. So maybe if I say my expertise is finance, may make sense. So after graduation of the master's, I started to work for Deloitte in Washington, D.C. And then after 2 years, luckily there was an announcement from MOFA Japan saying, oh, UNDP is seeking a candidate in the finance department. Yes, very honest with you, I wanted to work for the field first. I wanted to work for Africa. That was my desire very beginning, but I tailored my CV so that I can open the door to the UN. Then luckily I joined the UNDP in 2018. Then since then I have been working in 4 positions, 2 positions in finance department in New York, and then 2 positions in Afghanistan country office. So I'm speaking a lot, so I will stop now. But exercise, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
We want to hear more on your experience. But yes, the one quick question from the audience. Yeah. So would you please elaborate a bit more about the financial sector's initiative on your work? What's okay. Yes, a good point for you have a specialist on the finance sector.
So I would like to clarify a little bit. So what I'm doing is like daily management is a part of operations, day-to-day management, or how to make sure that office or each project is sustainable in terms of financial wise. Then I think the question mentioned from the audience is UNDP's thematic work on finance sector. But so I'm not doing this work, but I can try to address a little bit. So for instance, UNDP has SDG finance initiatives, so that, for instance, the government have enough budget to advocate SDGs, for instance. So some of not Afghanistan, but some of the country office, I'm aware that they are supporting these services to, let's say, how to do the financing to make sure that the SDG is more advanced in that particular country. That is one of the portfolio. And also in Afghanistan, for instance, we are trying to have the finance, it's a part of financing sector work. We are trying to support banking sector, because after the Taliban is coming to Afghanistan, the still banking sector has been facing the challenges. So in order to support banking sector, we are trying to provide credit guarantee or deposit insurance to the banking sector, so that the people in Afghanistan can lend more money to initiate the small business to make the economy sustainable. So there are many activities or initiatives under the finance, but I hope I address some of the initiatives now.
Thank you so much. ありがとうございました。Lots of things to know. Okay, next, Yuta-san, Yuta Kono-san. He's a SDGs Coordination Officer at the UNDP India office. Okay, currently working for JPO 2 years, second year, right? Okay.
Yeah.
はい、Kono-san、どうぞ。
はい、ありがとうございます。Thank you very much, Egusa-san. So, first of all, I'm very happy to see close to 100 people who joined this session, and we hope that this session will be very helpful for you together with the live information and the up-to-date information. So let me share my screen. I hope you can see my PowerPoint presentation. All right. All right, so thank you very much. Again, my name is Yuta Kono. I'm SDGs Coordination Officer based in India, New Delhi. So before joining the UNDP India as a JPO, I worked for the foundation in Japan, as well as the NGO in Ethiopia. And during my career in foundation and NGO, I have been engaging with the refugee response in Japan and as well as in Ethiopia. And after that, I got the position in Ethiopia in the UN volunteer, working for the peace building and the governance project. So this is my career summary. I have over 10 years of experience in the development and emergency response areas. And I have 4 years plus experience in the project management. And managed project is 13 project. I have managed a project funded by Japan, EU, and UNHCR. And I have formulated 12 projects in the past. And this is the total resource mobilized is approx USD $11 million. And I have experience in SDGs, M&E partnership, resource mobilization, etc., etc. And this is my duties and responsibilities, key duty and responsibilities in my position of SDGs Coordination Officer in India, which are monitoring and evaluation is the first one. I oversee and supervise the different projects under my unit. For example, in the preparation of the project annual work plans. And also I supervise each project so that they submit the periodic progress reports in a timely manner with the high quality. And the resource mobilization is one of the key duty and responsibilities in India. And so far, as I showed you in the previous slide, I have mobilized resource around $10 million from the government of Japan. Thanks to the generous contribution, these funds has been utilized for the climate action projects, including the implementation in India. And I am also responsible to handle the partnership. One with Japan as a key donor, and the second is the private sector partnership that is operational in Japan. And I also do the collaboration with JICA as well. And for example, I have established a partnership with the Japan Chamber of Commerce and Industry in India. This is the Chamber of Commerce and Industry that is operational all across India. And in India, there are close to 500 Japanese companies operational. So by establishing a partnership with JCCII, we managed to, UNDP India office managed to approach these private companies in collaboration with JCCII. And I also take care of the communications. For example, the preparation of the project-related article that has been posted on the UNDP Tokyo Representation Office's website, as well as I also do the some video editing as well, so that we can place the Japanese subtitle targeting the Japanese audience about the intervention made by UNDP, as well as the how the funds has been effectively utilized given by the government of Japan. So in the remaining time, I would like to highlight the innovation of UNDP, which is one of the maybe the most the strongest point that I feel I was fascinated with UNDP. So these are some summary of some key interventions of the accelerator labs of the UNDP India. Accelerator labs is the kind of the unit which mix the cutting edge technology and to solve the developmental challenges. And accelerator labs or A lab has the offices in or unit in many UNDP country office, including India. The first one is the GeoAI platform. Maybe some of you already know, but one of the key environmental or health issue in India is the air pollution. You might want to believe, but this is the photo taken in the daytime in Delhi, in front of the India Gate. You can see that the air is pretty much very much air polluted, so that you can't really see much in the city. And one of the reason of this air pollution is the brick manufacture points, let's say. Some of these manufacture areas are using the old facilities. In that case, the emission of the air pollution is high from such manufacture points. So what we do is that we combine the aerial photo taken from the space, and this combination of these aerial photos and AI can spot the brick manufacture points with the old facility, so that we can identify which manufacturer points to be approached, so that we can convert, we can assist, or we can try to convince converting these old facility into newer facility with less emission. And another one is the, okay, so let me take example of this one. So this is the blockchain platform that we are creating. So this is also actually funded by the government of Japan, and we are implementing this project in collaboration with NEC. India is the largest producer and consumer of the spices, but when you look at the international trade of spices, there's some bottleneck because of the food safety issue. Actually, these spices pass the food safety exam before it is being exported. However, there's some trust issue that hinders the potentials of the international trade of the spices. So what we do is to kind of put this kind of QR code in the spice products, so that those consumers at the, for example, supermarket can use their phone to read this QR code. So, and it will lead you to the page showing that where this spice has been grown, where was it packed, and whether that such spice products has passed the food safety exam or test or not. So by doing this kind of intervention, our objective is to boost the international trade potential of the Indian spices. So this is just a snapshot of the how the UNDP is keen in digitalization and innovation to solve the developmental challenges. So I guess I'm happy to talk more, but for the sake of the time, I would like to stop here. Over to you, Egisa-san.
Thank you so much, Yuta-san. Lots of work you have done. So in the we are running over time. So I just quickly change our schedule. Beforehand, we planned to have one more JPO experience given by Sara-san, but well, I just to skip, not to skip, but Sara-san's part will be after Jean-Luc's presentation, because Jean-Luc and Christina is joining this session from Copenhagen, UNDP Office of Human Resources, JPO Center. So we just, have a we are so lucky to have this, JPO Center's direct message from Jean-Luc and Christina. So we just move on to Copenhagen session. Jean-Luc, please. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. And it's a pleasure to be here with you today. And I really wished I could introduce myself in Japanese, but unfortunately I cannot. So my name is Jean-Luc Marcelin, and I work with the Office of Human Resources of UNDP. And among other activities, we manage the JPO program and the very successful partnership between Japan and UNDP on the JPO program. And as it happens, I am a former JPO myself. I was a JPO funded by France in Cambodia with the Office of the Resident Coordinator back in 2000. So it's been over 22 years. And I never left, the UN. So I'm another example of where the JPO program may lead you. But today is not about me, of course. Today is about the positions that Japan is very kindly funding with UNDP through the JPO program. And I have a few slides to give you a little bit of backstage, if you want, information to candidates who are interested in these positions, just in terms of what is it we're looking for candidates, and how do we how do we assess candidates when it comes to going through the selection process. So very briefly, of course, there will be a breakout room with my colleague Christina, who will also be able afterwards to answer some more specific questions on recruitment, but just to give you a big overview, if you want. So first of all, let's talk a little bit about the profiles of the candidates we look for. And I think it was so interesting to hear my fellow JPO colleagues from Japan presenting their experience and also their background, because it's very, very relevant when it comes to the profiles we're looking for. People who have already gained some experience, for example, in an international context. This is something we're quite interested in. But beyond that, just the fact that you want to make a difference, that you want to contribute addressing the challenges this planet is facing when it comes to development issues on various topics, of course, depending on your area of expertise and depending on the JPO position you would apply for. But this passion, this commitment is definitely something we're looking into when identifying candidates. So make sure that you candidates, when you apply, that you convey this commitment and this passion. This is very important. Also, working with UNDP in another country, of course, means working in a very multicultural environment. So we're also looking for candidates who are interested in challenge somehow, in the way they operate, in the way they are used to working, because it's going to be quite different from the way the work environment would be in Japan or in any other country, in my case, France, etc. So definitely being able as a candidate to demonstrate that you are interested in working in a multicultural context is always a very nice plus. It can be by mentioning that you have been exposed to working in different cultural contexts, or maybe you were working in Japan, but you had a portfolio which involved interacting with international entities or companies, etc. This is really something you may want to emphasize. Then also the JPO program, among other programs, require people who are quite flexible and responsive and able to think outside the box, to come up with new ideas, innovative ideas. So to the extent possible, the flexibility, that capacity to think outside the box should also be, to the extent possible, highlighted in your application. And also in your CV, maybe by mentioning a couple of examples when you had the chance to contribute to an innovative solution or approach to a problem. This is really something we look for in candidates. Now, when it comes to, I've already mentioned some of it, but I cannot not mention that we also have in a job description, and that includes the vacancy announcements for these JPO positions, we will always have some requirements. It can be a diploma requirement, it can be the number of years of experience, or sometimes for some rather technical positions, it can be actually something even more specific. I don't know, a specific certificate, or maybe some experience in Africa, or whatever that would be. So there are two types of requirements in a vacancy announcement. There are the must-have requirements and the nice-to-have requirements. The must-have requirements need to be fulfilled for you to be eligible. So if the position is 2 years of experience in the field of, I don't know, financial management, including 6 months in budgeting, and that you only have 1 year of experience after your master's degree in financial management, you will most likely not be considered. However, if it says experience in financial management required, okay, and experience in budgeting desirable, then it's fine not to have it. So the more nice to have, the more desirable, the better, of course, but it should not prevent you from applying. However, when it comes to the must-have requirements, which will be very much specified in the job description or the vacancy announcement, you really need to make sure that you're ticking these boxes, otherwise you will not be considered. I know it may sound a bit rigid and strict, but this is because we are a public institution. We need to justify how we use a public fund and how we select candidates against this funding. Also, not all positions will require an additional language beyond English, but it's always a plus if you have some French, for example, or Spanish or Arabic, depending, to mention it, because it gives you always a bit of extra points in a UN context. And also, if you have prior experience in the field, in Africa, Asia Pacific, wherever really, where you worked with the communities or with the governmental officials, for example, as a United Nations volunteer or in an NGO, or maybe with JICA, this is always a very solid experience that we're interested in. So make sure to highlight it in your cover letter and your application, like your CV, your online CV. So very briefly, when it comes to the process, there is a job opening. Here in this case, we're talking 6 JPO positions advertised by the Japanese Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So you don't need to look for them in the sense that they are already there. They're all very well presented. And you will apply through the Japanese MOFA. So the first phase, if you want, of the application would not be with UNDP. However, quite fast, we will receive a list of candidates who have been deemed as most suitable for the positions in question, and then we will go through the assessment exercise. And that assessment exercise may vary depending on the positions. Some positions will include maybe a written test, others will not. Some positions may require that we ask for a sample of a document, for example, that a candidate would have most of the time required, but it varies a bit from one position to another. What does not vary, and I think Hiroki at the beginning of his presentation has been very kind to describe a little bit how it works. What will not vary is the interviews. We will always ask selected candidates to come and perform an interview with an interview panel that UNDP is organizing between Office of Human Resources and the hiring unit, which will be hosting the JPO position. And that interview panel is, as Hiroki very properly, let me find them, yes, very interestingly mentioned, has to do with some questions we're asking around competency-based question. That is, we ask questions on some competencies which we think are critical for the position. And we will ask questions like, if it's about, I don't know, teamwork, tell us about a time when you had to work in a team and it was a challenging team, etc. I mean, I will not go into details because Hiroki shared some examples. But just to confirm, there's a lot of material online to understand how competency-based interviewing works. Typically, for example, a typical answer that you may want to give starts with the context, then you explain the action you took, the result of the action, and what you learned from it. But there is a lot of material online if you look for competency-based interviewing. And you will see, you will even have questions that we ask. There's nothing secret. It's more about your answers, the way you reflect on the questions, which are important. It's not the questions themselves. So when you reach that phase, if you are shortlisted, make sure to do your homework. Make sure that to the extent possible, you read very carefully about the job description, because we will ask about some keywords and key competencies which are linked to the job description. It can be both the technical content of the job description, but it's also going to be around some of the key skills we expect for a person to have for the job. And depending on the job, these skills will be different. Sometimes it will be analytical skills. Sometimes it will be coordination skills. Maybe it would be teamwork, but maybe it's not teamwork because the position is quite standalone, for example. So try to do, to the extent possible, your homework to understand what are the keywords of the position and to relate to them in an interview. Lastly, I would like to mention that we also take references for candidates who are considered for the position, to make sure that when you apply, you have 3 references and that they are aware of the fact that we may contact them to retrieve references. This is one of the steps in the selection process. And sometimes we get stuck in the process because a reference will not answer, and then suddenly the candidate may have a problem there. So we need to make sure that we get the references. But for the sake of time, I talked for 10 minutes. I think I'm going to stop here. I would just like to give a couple of more tips when it comes to writing your CV and writing your application, because this is something. Thank you, Keiko-san. This is something which really we would like you to be successful. Really, interviewing and selecting candidates, it's not a tricky exercise. It's actually the other way around. We're really trying to find the best match for the position. And sometimes the person would be a best match, but has not really presented herself or himself in such a way that we can see it's a best match. So really, to the extent possible, the more you can put into this preparation when applying, the better, because you help us seeing that you're the best person. So first of all, very briefly, make sure that there's a logical thread in your CV. If you apply for a position which is related to poverty reduction, make sure that your CV is geared in such a way that everything you've done, to the extent possible, of course, is a narrative around the fact that you want to work on poverty reduction. So we do not like, if I can put it like that, generic CVs. The CVs and the cover letter need to be as much as possible tailored to the position you're applying for. Help the assessors in seeing that you're the right match by reusing, for example, the same keywords from the job description or from the vacancy announcement when you write your cover letter. It's not about you, it's about the job in a way and how you think the job. So think about the job. What does the job require? And try to address it in your CV and in your cover letter. Also, it has to be flawless to the extent possible. And I know it may sound obvious, but we do receive CVs with spelling mistakes or with date mistakes or unclear dates, for example, in terms of when did the job start and finish. So my advice, humble advice, have someone else, someone who does not know you too well, I mean, who knows you, but who has not written your CV, who has not written your cover letter, to review the cover letter and the CV, because they will have fresh pair of eyes and they will tell you, oh, I'm not sure I understand what you mean by this. That will help you in cleaning and making sure that your CV and your cover letter is flawless. And then last tips. One is do your homework. You never do enough homework. Try to identify someone who may know about the job. Maybe it can be a contact of a contact who could tell you a little bit more about the insides of the position, because like that you can prepare better the cover letter, you can prepare better the CV and the interview. Also, make sure that you understand some of the acronyms that may be mentioned in the CV. In the UN, we love acronyms. We have a lot of different acronyms, and they're not always very clear, not even to me after all these years. So make sure that you read about the acronyms, that you understand what it is about. As much homework as possible, basically. And lastly, if you apply for a position, make sure that you have will take up the job if you get the offer. I know it may sound obvious, but we do actually every year have situations, and it's not only Japan, it's all JPO positions, where we give a candidate an offer and they decline it because they think it's too far from home or it's too complicated to leave home at that stage of this type of reason. So make sure that you really consider your application carefully, because it's really a unique opportunity to join the UNDP, the UN, and to make a difference to the challenges this planet is facing. Thank you very much, arigato, and I hope this was useful. And over to you, Keiko-san.
Merci, Jean-Luc. Thank you so much, Jean-Luc, for your presentation. I think it is the most valued and fruitful JPO session we have had ever. So thank you so much. You have to go another session. So we will have vivid interact session with Christina afterwards. So now let's move on to the final presenter. Sara-san, お待ちかね。すいません。So Sara-san, please have your presentation. But before she worked at the UNDP South Africa and as a JPO, and now she's a program analyst specialist working at the TCAT unit, RBA Regional Africa Bureau in New York. So Sara-san, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Keiko-san, and thank you to all the great presentators before me. As introduced, my name is Sarah Hamano, and I'm currently a TCAT program specialist at the Regional Bureau of Africa in New York. Sorry, I hope you can see my screen. Okay, thank you. Sorry, I think I'm having a little bit of trouble with the big screen, but I think it's okay. So a little bit about my road to JPO. So a little bit about my path. So I've started my work experience both at a overseas embassy in Southeast Asia with the government of Japan. And then I've had a little bit of private sector experience working with the HR consulting firm. However, I've always wanted to work in development. And while I was working, I really knew that I needed to first get a master's degree, which I did after saving a little bit of money. And then what I realized was I really wanted to see what it was like working in the field. So fortunately, I got an experience to start working with the UN, firstly as a UNV with the resident coordinator office in Serbia. And then I also had an opportunity to work with a consultancy with UN Habitat in Cambodia. And I think these two experiences really helped me visualize what does the UN do, what is the different roles of UN organizations. And it also really helped me hone down into what UN agency I would like to work in, and also what kind of position I might like to apply as a JPO. So I really wanted to, as I mentioned, work with development and think about what are some of the ways the UN works in terms of thinking about longer term development. And in this sense, UNDP really stood as the best organization to work for development. And as you may be aware, the organization really works in different streams from climate change to youth empowerment. I was specifically interested in youth empowerment and poverty reduction. And this was my main portfolio as a JPO in South Africa. And I was working specifically with, starting with more of the policy work in terms of researching about economic development issues. And out of this work, I really wanted to gain project management experience. So one of the things that stood out or was memorable for me as a JPO was really working or trying to see what, as a country office, we could do to support youth during the midst of COVID. So South Africa was hit with a very severe lockdowns, and it really compounded the problem of youth unemployment. And we were really able to listen or consult with the government what was required. And interestingly, and I was fortunate enough to work with stakeholders to develop a project on vocational training, specifically automatic training to youth in partnership with Toyota, South Africa Motors, as well as the Ministry of Education. And when this project kickstarted with funding from the government of Japan, I was really happy. And I think it really highlighted the way the UNDP's strength in really working with the stakeholders on the ground and different partners, including the private sector and civil society organization, as well as the government. So this was really one of the highlights working as a JPO. Just a little bit about some tips and learnings I found through my experience as a JPO. And I think a lot of you may be wondering what are the next steps, what kind of position you might want to apply. And it might be good to think about what do you want to gain as a JPO? And I think you would get very different experiences working at headquarters versus regional versus the country office. And I think there's both benefits to each position in terms of, in the headquarters, you may get a lot of networking, many different people coming together, while as in the country office, you might be able to explore and really get hands-on with development in the sense, and it's really the heart of where UNDP works. So I think it might be interesting to think what kind of experience you want to gain. My tip is, if you're a student still, you can consider interns, volunteer opportunities, and even consultancies, because it really helped me to gain a foothold as a JPO. So I think it's worth exploring to try to gain that field experience that was also mentioned in the previous presentation. And my final point is that JPO is really just the beginning. And once I joined UNDP, I really realized that there's just so much to learn from the way UNDP works to just the development challenges. And I think UNDP as an organization is constantly trying to innovate itself, trying to think of new ways of development. So I think there's just constant learning as you go. And even if you start as a JPO, you're always thinking about what you can do in the longer term, and developing your career prospects, I think, is something I am still working on, and I think is also something you would encounter as a JPO. So I just wanted to stress that. There's also lots of learning opportunities as a JPO, including training allowances. So you can try to maximize that. And I was able to get, for instance, project management certification as part of a JPO. So yes, it's generally a really good starting point, but to get there also, please consider about what kind of experiences you can get to contribute, whether it's field experience or specific technical competencies. So I think this is my advice, and back to you, Egsa-san.
Thank you so much, Sara-san. ありがとうございました。So now we move on to the Q&A sessions, and we just have limited time. So I just wanted to allocate the speakers, each of speakers of designated questions. So first of all, Yuta-san. So what was the most effective pathway, effective process way you worked on in order to pass the JPO exam? Language, qualifications, and experience, or preparation work? What do you think? The most effective?
Thank you so much, Egsa-san. So I would say the most effective qualification that I got before applying for the JPO position is the field experience. Before joining the JPO, I was working for an international NGO that's in Ethiopia, which provides the refugee assistance to the South Sudanese refugee who were escaping in Ethiopia. So I guess that kind of on the ground perspective was quite helpful, and I also think that it was convincing when it come to the JPO example. And I would like to regarding the language, Jean-Luc also mentioned this, but if you haven't really decided which language you want to study, I would strongly recommend you to learn French, because this is the slide showing the number of the people who are in the extreme poverty, and you can see that in 1919 there was many poverty in South Asia, East Asia, and Pacific, and the Sub-Saharan Africa, but this red box area is the period that you will fight for this JPO position in case you want to apply for. And you can see that the most of the poverty is in the Sub-Saharan Africa. So from that perspective, I would strongly recommend French in case if you haven't decided any language to study.
Okay, thank you so much. I also learned French, so it's very, very practical to learn French. So next, Yamaguchi Shitsucho, Director Yamaguchi, what are the advantages of JPO compared to YPP or other, open vacancies, open-ended vacancy application for pursuing UN career? So this question is coming from the floor. Thank you. 山口室長、よろしくお願いします。
Thank you very much
okay.
for the question. First of all, if you use the JPO system, the competence, your rival is just for within the Japanese nationals. But in case you applying to the vacancy post, applicant comes from all over the world. So this is the one advantage. But in addition to that, and this is more important, during the 2-year JPO experience, you can have a chance to build up a networking or human connections, such a good, very important asset, I understand, for applying the future vacancy post, because the networking, the people who are in a networking might be your future vacancy post hiring manager, or to be referees for your application, or good information on suppliers regarding about the possible potential vacancy post near futures, And in this connection, maybe in case UNDPs, JPO will be treated as an internal candidate rather than the candidate from the outside. And also important is maybe UNDP, there's an evaluation system of your performance, or officers, If you achieve during your JPO working or JPO days, achieving the excellent performance in the evaluation, it will be a very good asset for the screening process for checking your performance, from the side of the UNDP, I suppose, for applying the JPO vacancy assessment, not JPO, vacancy post. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Yamaguchi Shitsucho. Thank you so much. We have received so many questions on JPO process oriented. So, for example, 専門職学位は修士マスターディグリーとみなされますか? Is professional degree is considered as also as a master's degree? Or JPO の応募時期、2、3月に修士を取ってからでないと UNDP は応募できないですか? Is am I eligible for applying for the UNDP JPO post even before that February or March, just before the obtaining the master's degrees certificate? Is it possible or not? Some questions, technical questions we may have, but please refer to go to the MOFA, 日本の外務省 Ministry of Foreign Affairs International Recruitment Center website to ask the specific technical questions. Okay, and now, Sara-san, so if you could go back to your student days again, what would you like to learn and apply for establish your career?
Yes, actually, I really wished I really kept up with my French. So that's one thing. because I'm feeling I really need it in my current work. But secondly, I think if I was a student, just really think about, but don't worry too much about the language. Just really think about what issue, what you're passionate about, what development theme you want to tackle. And yeah, I just think if you can just keep on doing internships, and I think it's a great start. You're joining this seminar, so keep trying to get a lot of information sources from different places. So I think just try to experience a lot in terms of learning, internships, and maybe even developing a certain skill set, whether it's French or statistics. So yeah, I think that's what I would want to do if I go back.
そうですね。I totally agree. Totally agree. If I were young, I should have learned more another language, foreign language. Yes, totally agree. So, and the last question to Christina, if you are able to respond, is the question is about internship. Is the internship experience is considered for as work experience for as case in the case of UNDP?
Yeah, thank you for that question. And it's a very good question because it's asked by many people when we talk to different interested applicants. Unfortunately, it is not counted towards the years of experience. However, I would still support Sarah's advice to do internships, in the sense that when I look at a CV, I look at the overall picture, I look at the engagement of the person, of the applicant. And if you had, for instance, been an intern with UNDP or a relevant NGO in a field, for instance, I would still find that that would put you higher in the pile, so to speak, because you have shown interest. I know you've had exposure. So if you are two people with the same how do you say, years of experience, but you also have that internship experience, that might put you sort of at an advantage towards the other person. However, unfortunately, we will not be counting that period of internships. It's continuously looked at whether or not this should be done, but so far it's not.
Thank you so much, Christina, and thank you so much for Yamaguchi Shizucho and for former and current JPOs for your valuable time. And we had lots of discussions, and we will have a breakout session afterwards. But before closing, I would like to say in a few words in Japanese as Deputy Representation Office of the Tokyo UNDP. So 皆さん本当に今日はお忙しい中ご参加いただきましてありがとうございました。これまでにない非常にヒントがたくさんあった JPO セミナーだったと思います。非常に今最初に、代表の近藤から申し上げた通り、トルコやシリアでも大変な状況が続いていて、世界中どこでも大変な状況が続いている中で、ぜひ皆さん方の中から一人でも多くの方が JPO として世界に羽ばたいて、途上国の皆さんのために働いていただける仲間を増やしたいと切に願っております。ありがとうございました。Thank you so much. So we will have the last session, the breakout rooms. So we will split into 3 rooms. I just explain a little bit technical things. Group 1, it will take an in-depth look at 6 JPO posts for UNDP's post. Group 2 will be focusing on whichever topics, open topics. You may ask for general questions. What's UNDP's work and for the future career development, etc. Group 3 will be the further discussion on preparing for JPO application with Christina. So Group 1, Group 2 conducted in Japanese. 日本語でグループ1とグループ2はやります。Group 3 will be conducted in English. グループ3について入られる方は英語でやります。So please see the chat box. You have a link for each breakout session. You are free to move between groups. If you have, say, firstly get into the group 1 and after group 3, it is okay. And just in case, if you get lost, please visit the event page website, the UNDP Tokyo website, in the where you also provide a link. You will see the provide link, related link to each group. Hi, I hope it's clear to everybody. それでは皆様、各グループへの移動をよろしくお願いいたします。So now the final open before the closing, just to thank you so much for your participation and move to breakout session. ありがとうございました。See you.